Great. I'm Lucas. I'm the lead developer on Ctrl-Q. Just kind of made it with a group of friends.
Thanks, chat, for pointing out I had not unmuted my microphone. I had only introduced myself, so as long as you can hear our guest, that's what matters. Sorry, Lucas, continue.
Yeah, so lead developer on Ctrl-Q. That's pretty much it. That would be me.
Okay. Well, perhaps while I try out the game here, you can describe to chat how it was that you settled on this idea for the Game Jam.
Great. Yeah, so going into the Game Jam, we, of course, were watching the stream, waiting nervously for that reveal. And then we had allotted about 20 minutes of time to just throw ideas at the wall until something stuck, and essentially just put it in a great big poll in Discord and ended up voting on our ideas and which ones we think was best. And we ended up with kind of a combination of a couple of ideas, which ended up being this.
I think I criticized you on your page for this Mass Effect elevator.
Yeah, that was something that we, doing our playtesting at the end of the jam, we were like, we should probably make this faster. And then I think it was me who stupidly was like, nah, we've probably just been playing it too much. It's fine. It's not fine. It's way too long.
Also, I didn't Ctrl-X myself at the start of this level, so is there a restart button?
Yeah, it's Ctrl-Z.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Cool, there we go. So moving on with some other questions. What was your development process like for the game?
Yeah, so after we kind of figured out our idea, we went through, I use Jira a lot in my regular job. It's kind of a, similar to Trello, it's a to-do Kanban board type thing, and just basically went through and put every thing we need to do in that. And then that really helped us throughout the whole process, because myself and my assistant dev just ended up pulling off the top of the list whenever we had something finished. And it sped up things quite a lot. So yeah, I mainly developed the core gameplay, the movement, the shaders, the post-processing, that side of things, the more heavy game engine elements. And my assist did all of the UI, a fair amount of the collisions, all of the animations, and bringing in the tile sets from our phenomenal art team.
Yeah, I was going to say the art is really one of the things that makes this game stand out.
Yeah.
Any idea how they arrived at this particular, I don't know, alien character?
I don't actually super know. They just kind of came up with the idea right at the beginning and was like, hey, I'm going to do this. And all of us were like, that looks great. Keep doing it. Leading up to the jam, they were going through a lot of different art styles and playing a bunch of games and just getting some inspiration on what they could do. So went through quite a bit of that before the game. So it probably came up in one of those sessions.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting kind of like cybernetic style. Looks like I'm running out of game to play. Yes.
Yeah.
We will see the reason for that particularly long elevator shaft in just a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on either speeding that up or kind of changing it around a little bit, just to break it up while keeping that shaft length to make the T.
I feel like
possible.
All you got to do is get rid of fall damage. Because if you can just drop down, then it's no big deal.
Yeah, no, that absolutely. And that gets rid of the because there's no puzzle in pushing the platformer. You just stand on it. Originally, when we had that built, you had to have another clone holding that platform down, but those clones have a propensity of falling over every 5 minutes, so that did not go well. And yeah, if the clones took fall damage, you would die because they're all the same character script, just so all of the animations work well. So, yeah.
I like this Clippy character we've got here. Is that the inspiration?
It is absolutely the inspiration, and that certain character's name, it never comes up, but we named him Flippy because you have to flip a USB key about 30 times before you get it right. Yeah. So we definitely wanted a Clippy character, especially with the Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V mechanic, because it really made sense with that. It was the first thing that kind of popped into all of our minds at the same point. Just, hey, this is a perfect tutorial character.
How long do you think Flippy is going to stay in the public consciousness? Because I can already say, like, when I was using PCs, there was barely a thing you could toggle on.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that it stays for a while. I really liked Clippy. I know I'm probably the only person on the planet who does, but I miss having them in the office suite. It was nice. Probably a bit of rose-colored glasses with that one, but you know.
Well, now we've got Siri and Cortana and all kinds of other virtual assistants, so maybe Clippy won't seem so bad in the long term.
Yeah. I'm surprised that when Windows put Cortana in, they didn't make it Clippy. I guess they probably wanted to stay as far away as possible from that.
Well, joke's on them. They added Cortana, and then they made Cortana a villain in the Halo lore. So, oops.
Yep. Yeah, that's oversight.
Because Halo 5 was full of good story-making decisions. I digress. So, can you talk a bit about, is there any particular clever hack or shortcut that you needed to pull this off that you wouldn't necessarily do in a full-scale actual project? So,
it's not clever in any way, shape, or form. It is definitely a hack. And we are getting rid of it as soon as physically possible. The copy mechanic, when you make clones, is a disaster on the coding side. What was happening originally is if you were up against a wall and you made a clone, it would take you and the clone and just throw it into space as the physics engine just exploded.
Right.
So had to make sure that the clones couldn't spawn inside walls. So I've essentially got a bunch of null objects parented to the main character that it checks for collision for each of them individually every time you try and paste it. And I could have used a while loop, or I could have put it in an array or done something intelligent, but no, it's like 15 nested ifs. That's it works, but it's not pretty. I am not proud of that in any way, but was one of those, hey, it works, just ship it, done, move on.
I don't know if I'm going to have another good opportunity to share this, but the reason that I asked this question is because in my game, I had written the system to print the text onto the screen years ago, and I'd written it for kids so that it was easy enough that you could just drag and drop this block, because I was using Game Maker Studio, and it was this super simple system whereby every character that you can talk to actually draws their own text box on the screen, which causes a whole host of other problems, but it's meant to be easy enough for kids to use. So as a byproduct of using that, for whatever reason, well, I can tell you exactly the reason. It doesn't interact with the character controller. There is no concept of a cutscene. It's just, hey, I'm a sprite, and now I'm a sprite and also drawing a text box. There's nothing inherently telling the character controller to stop moving when you're talking to someone. So to get around that, I said, okay, that's fine. If the character walks out of range of this character, the person they initiated the conversation with, then the conversation will terminate and go back to its 0 state so you can reinitiate a conversation, which leads to some hilarious moments where you're just allowed to walk away from a character while you're talking to them. For the context of my game, and because I was actually tying logic to the ends of these conversations based on your choices, I didn't want players to make 2 choices and then suddenly, I don't know, there's 2 copies of one of the characters that have spawned in. I don't think that would have happened, but I just wanted to make sure it didn't happen anyway. So the way I got the character controller to stop moving when there's dialogue on screen is all NPCs you can talk to have one common parent. All trigger volumes in the game have one common parent. So I do a for each loop for every trigger volume and for every NPC. Check if that object's drawstring is not null. That's how it does it.
It works.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't, because the great thing is for one frame between one text box and another, the character's drawstring is null. So that means you're allowed to move one frame.
Oh, no.
And people have figured this out, and they've realized that in particularly long conversations, you can just start talking to someone and then start backing away from them, and you can trigger exactly the situation I was describing.
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit for me. I'm missing
yeah, I was seeing the stream was complaining about that as well. I'm going to end the game and maybe just reload the page so we're looking at some static art. I don't know if that'll help with my internet, but there we go. We'll look at that beautiful background art. So thanks for the heads up. But yeah, basically people have figured out that you can cheat the character controller in my game to break it and walk away from them. And it's probably going to result in some weird unintended behavior, and it's definitely something I'm going to fix and will be able to fix really easily. But I assumed it was good enough. Most people don't notice it because they kind of assume they can't move anymore once the text box appears on screen. So why would they try? But there have been like a couple streams where I was like, of course that would happen. So yeah, that's
we had something similar. So we did a 24-hour dress rehearsal for this a month ago. Just because this is the first time that I've ever used Unity. This is the first time anyone in our project had ever used Unity. Our art team had never done 2D game animation before. We're using this to kind of learn new skills. I programmed in C bases. So I had familiarity with the language, but we wanted to make sure that we could actually do it. So we ran a quick dress rehearsal, and a very similar thing, that one frame thing, happened with us. There was, if you jumped and if you mashed your spacebar a bunch in that one frame, your character, it would just keep adding more and more vector force to your character, and you would just be able to launch yourself out of the entire level.
Yeah.
I think I fixed it nicely this way. It basically checks to make sure that you've hit the ground again before jumping again. But yeah, that was a bit of a mess, and there was one frame of logic happening before the state fully updates. That's always comes back to bite you.
Yeah. Well, there's all kinds of quirks to writing this kind of like platforming code in Unity. So it can kind of catch you off guard, but it works. I mean, like I noticed there were a couple times where I can hit the corner of a platform and my state doesn't update to be grounded. But it's, whatever, it works. It's not a big deal. Yeah. It doesn't interfere with the overall enjoyment of the game.
I've got basically at the top of our thing, we're planning on continuing this on after the jam. The top object of priority is fix the collisions. And it has, I think, 20 sub tickets of places where it's broken. So yeah, that is something that it was kind of the weakest part of our knowledge, was how to make that.
Has anyone suggested the trick of doing like the 2 simultaneous raycasts from the left and right extremes of the character?
No.
Okay, that's something that I see recommended pretty often for this. Like, I come from Game Maker where that's not the way collision handling is done, and when I first heard it suggested that you just cast 2 rays off both sides of the character and check if one or the other is hitting something, I was like, there's no way that's the best way to do it. There's got to be something better. No, it seems to be pretty commonly recommended. That's what most people say, like, just do this, it's fine.
Huh. Yeah, I've got another null object below the character, seeing if it's on the ground. So that's why on corners, especially, it's brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I wish I could say I came up with it, but
I'm constantly surprised at how little tools for platforming Unity has. It has tools for everything else. Literally everything else, but platforming, it's like, yep, good luck, have fun.
There are some sample projects that you can find. I'm going to plug a thing that I created real quick, which is let me pull it up in another window and then drag it over here. But this is what I call the Unity Quick Ref document. And this is a freely available shared document that I created with 85 pages and counting of solutions on how to do stuff in Unity. So if anyone out there is a Unity developer, you can see I shared this a couple days ago, and I can almost always expect this to be sitting around 30 people looking at the document at any one time. So please do share this. I will throw the link in chat for anyone who's interested. And I'm not making any money off it or anything. It's just a freely available Google Doc that I maintain anytime that I find a solution to a problem, and everyone is welcome to benefit from it.
That's amazing.
Thank you. But let me get back to the game at hand here. And I'm also going to throw a question out to chat. If there's any particular questions they have, they can submit them now. But did you have to cut or change anything in order to finish the game on time?
Yeah, so we originally had a save and a different undo mechanic. So we ended up going for undo just resets the level. It also makes sense, but originally it was just going to roll back. I think it was about 10 seconds of what was happening. And it was on the top of the list, and we set ourselves a limit of, we are at feature lock at Saturday night, before The Last of Us goes to bed. We're at feature lock. All of Sunday is just play testing and fixing problems.
Yeah, good call.
So we ended up having to cut that late Saturday night. And I don't think it would have added too much with our level design. It would have been really nice for that T. So if you're down at the bottom, you could just undo yourself back up to the top. But it's similar to resetting the level anyways. So yeah, we felt that it was something that we could get rid of, but it's probably going to make an appearance of some kind in the final project.
Right. And I guess on that note, we can roll into the final question, which has kind of been echoed in chat here. Do you intend to add more levels, or is there any other features that you want to add to this? Any plans for the game going forward? Yeah,
so we're going to be we're using this as a huge learning experience. So I'm using this to publish on platforms that I haven't before. So we're going to try and get it on the Switch. We're going to try and get it on iOS. I've got developer accounts on both of those now. So we're definitely going to be working on this further and releasing it as a full project. And then, of course, it's going to be released as a Windows and WebGL thing on Itch. But Yeah, we're definitely adding a few more levels. We're going to take all of our current levels and probably double their size, if not more. So we still get that nice reveal at the end, but we can pack a bunch more gameplay into each letter, and having checkpoints through the levels and things like that, just to make it so you're not screwed if you get to near the end of C and you have to start a quarter of the game over again.
Yeah, good call.
But yeah, we're definitely working on some more stuff. We're going to have a couple of potentially some enemy types, some more puzzles, a couple more mechanics that we're working on. Some more deadly things that other than fall damage that can kill you, things like that, just to kind of flesh things out a bit more. We're still in the brainstorming phase of that, but it's definitely something that we're looking at, especially with all the amazing feedback that we're getting so far.
Excellent. Well, I do wish you the best of luck on that. I think we're just about wrapping up here. So real quick, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, anywhere people can find you online?
The best place is on our itch. We haven't really set up any social media or anything like that for this. But yeah, I just want a huge shout out to all of the team. Everyone did a phenomenal job on this. It was 6 of us in total. All of the credits are in the itch page.
Those are up on screen now.
Yeah. Essentially 2 art, 2 programmer, a level designer, and a sound engineer. And everyone did a phenomenal job. So massive shout out to them.
All right. Well, excellent. Thank you very much for joining me here today. And I think I'm going to start transitioning things over. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to have the game D-Pad Dungeon with the developer Max Mitchell. So thanks again for joining me. I'm going to end the call now, but cheers.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Yeah, bye.